Welcome to the Genealogy Happy Hour, a place where new family historians can learn to document their family histories and celebrate their new discoveries. I'm Amy.
And I'm Penny, and we're here to help you discover your family tree from the beginning. Welcome to episode 41. In this episode, Amy and I are going to discuss things that we've been researching this past month and going over what we've learned and didn't learn, or accomplished and didn't accomplish in our research, and a few little things that are happening at Ancestry. We're going to cover those as well. But of course, first, before we get started,
we have to talk about the wine
we have
first.
Wine.
First things first. Priorities. Today we're featuring Ararat's Pinot Gris. They have a Pinot Noir, which is very good. It's out of Oregon. Both of them are. This one has an 89 score with Wine Spectator, and it's very clean. It's very clear. It's got hints of key lime and nectarine.
Okay, that sounds.
So it's. I think it's very delicious and easy to drink, and since it's getting hot down here in Florida, it's time to really get something that's cool and delicious and easy to drink.
It's in the 90s.
It's so
Nobody
humid.
likes that.
So humid.
It's in the 90s.
I know, we can't complain.
And this is very delicious.
All right. So, okay, Penny, we're talking, not drinking.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is happy hour, right?
So what have you been working on?
Well,
what have you been researching?
I've been working on a lot of different things, not necessarily all genealogy, but
of course.
Just going back to some of my brick walls and my wine that is in Massachusetts, New York area. Well, he starts off in New York, ends up in Ohio, but then there's also family that was from Connecticut and Massachusetts. But it's my Anson Preston, born in 1800 and died in 1890. Long life, but I can't find his parents. So there's a lot of trees on there on Ancestry. You know, I've exhausted all the research I can do without actually going to New York or calling someone to maybe help me out with some places that aren't digitized and whatnot. But a lot of people have hit him on a tree. And they have their father listed as Jacob Preston, which I did as well. Mm-hmm. And with that, there's tons of stuff on the Jacob Preston, his father Jacob Preston, the wives, going all the way back.
But you're not convinced that is the right kinship connection?
Certainly not.
Okay.
I can't find any documentation. I have reached out to several people who have trees online who, put this down as a definitive thing, and when asking if they have a document they could share with me, nobody has anything. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where we've all gotten this idea that Jacob Preston is Anson's dad, and he may very well be. But I've got a conflict because he's born in Otsego, New York in 1800. In 1820, there is a census form for an Anson Preston, and he's got 9 people in his family. Some males under 5, males under 10, the whole gamut of children age range.
So for a 20-year-old, these clearly cannot be his children.
Right. But he could be one of those children.
Right.
And
so that could be his father.
It could
Anson.
be his father.
He could be Anson Jr. and his father could be Anson Sr.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So
that's logical.
It could be. Mm-hmm. But again,
And you know that he was in this town? I mean, this is a good location for him.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that's where this now the Jacob Preston also had ended up there for a brief time period at the same time as well.
So Jacob could be an uncle?
2 possible dads.
Okay.
No proof as to which one is which.
Mm-hmm.
So in my tree, I had Jacob and all these extended, ancestors listed. I just deleted all of them.
Sure.
I just got rid of them because I thought it was they'll be easy enough to add back in if I can prove that that's the parent. Mm-hmm. But until that point, I just don't want that sitting on my tree, that's who it is.
And it kind of confuses the issue when you're trying to discern what's right and what's incorrect. You've got people that may not be correct. It's easier to me, like you said, just clean off that tree.
Yep.
just know that I can get to this point and I can't get past it, and then continue your research from there.
Yes, and while doing that, one of the new things that I hope everybody's checked out on Ancestry, they have a new little tagging box where you can tag your ancestors.
You like that?
I love the tags. So I've tagged Anson right away as brick wall. It's got the big brick wall tag on there. So that I know what's happening when I pop him up. There's that tag sitting right there. So that's one of the things I've been doing, just trying to make that connection, which I can't, and then deleting.
You know what I'm thinking?
What are you thinking?
Road trip to New York. Research trip to New York.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have our trip planned for this year.
Right.
But we might have to do something.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
You have New York people?
I do have New York people,
there we
actually.
Go.
Yes. Okay. All right, that's it.
All right.
New York 2020.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So what have you been doing?
Okay. Well, I have been doing some research on my mother's family, and it's my second great grandmother. Her husband, he was her second husband. I'm not related to him except through her marriage. But I found them in the 1870 census and then in the 1880 census. Well, both of those censuses also have agricultural schedules as well. So I looked in the agricultural schedules and I saw that they had, in 1870, he had like 80 acres of property. So, and it was a nice amount of value to it. So I thought, oh, well, she, her first husband, who is my second great grandfather, he, I guess they divorced. I've never found a divorce, but anyway, they split up, and then she ends up with this gentleman. There's no marriages for either one. But anyway, but I was trying to figure out where the land came from, and then why did it go from 80 acres to only 4 acres in that 10-year period. So I started with the Bureau of Land Management online, and I put his name in for Michigan, and I did find that he did get a patent in 1872 and for 80 acres. So that ties that 80 acres in with the 1870 schedule. So he was already on the property at the time. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But he finally got the patent in 1872, and it is deeded in the county records. So I thought, well, between 1870 and 1888, I Googled, was there a recession? Was there something going on? Why would the value of the property have dropped so dramatically? And in fact, there was a very large recession during that time period. And the price of grain fell. It was a very difficult time, not only in the United States, but really worldwide. So I said, well, okay, well, maybe that was it. So my next step was then to really look in the deed books to see when they deeded the property, and then did they sell off any property? Maybe they had to sell off some property to make ends meet, and they only ended up with the 4.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Exactly.
To do that.
So what I found was, in fact, when they did finally get a clear deed to the property in 1872, they immediately put a mortgage on the property, which at the time was, things were booming, the economy was doing well. They thought that they were going to do well, I guess, and they needed money maybe to buy farm equipment. I mean, this is Michigan. You've got to cut down trees, and you've got to clear trees, and you've got to build a house, and that can't be easy to do. So they probably needed some money. But what I found was by 1877, in the deed books, it shows where they defaulted on the mortgage, and there was a foreclosure, and that the property was then sold for taxes, or it was auctioned off at the courthouse.
Oh, that's tragic.
So it is. Yeah. It is. He apparently was able to get 4 acres together. He was able to buy 4 acres by 1880. But yeah.
Is it a different 4 acres, or is it just he got to hang on to 4 acres?
It's a different 4 acres.
Okay.
It is a different 4 acres, yeah, because the whole 80 was sold off. Mm-hmm. Exactly, okay. Yeah. Okay. So by not just using the census records, but by then going and looking in those deed books, not only are you seeing the purchase and the sale of property, but you're also seeing the economic consequences of those actions and that my ancestor or her husband was taking at the time. And then coupling that with then looking at what was going on historically, it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So
it's good to look and see what's happening at the time or what's happening in the town. We talked about weather before, if that could have been a factor.
Absolutely, yeah.
Everything was ruined or something.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like they had this. They were doing well in the early 1870s, but by the end of the decade, things were not looking too well. And then, unfortunately, she died a couple years after that, and then he died tragically in a lumber or timber accident.
Oh my goodness!
So 10 years later.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. It was kind of tragic, but
is.
It's a way to bring a little more, I guess, fullness to an ancestor story when you start looking at those deed books. I mean, they can be kind of dry sometimes. I think they're dry, personally. But
yes, you and I both have looked at some and tried to do some research, and we're both like,
the deed books are so yes. Rods and trees and range and all that. It's to me it's a little tedious. Yeah. But there are gems like this in there when you start seeing the constant really what some other actions that are going on. Yeah. So, but
that's always my last resort.
Your last resort are the days. You can't, none of those records in the courts. You can't pass them up. What else have you been working on?
So I did some research for a friend of mine whose family is in South Carolina, and was just working on the way back. I was looking to see if she had anybody in the Civil War or Revolutionary Patriots, since her family, I think, never left this county since the beginning of time.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And I did find something, but what I ended up with this one guy who I was kind of stuck on was Eldridge Tracy McSwain, and he was born in 1836 and died in 1900, and he married Janie McGowan. And on her side, on the McGowans, is where I found the Civil War soldier and Revolutionary War patriot, which was also very interesting. But that wasn't what I was working on. I just that was one of those things like you find and you're like, no, don't go there yet because you'll get off track.
But your whole purpose was to find her patriot. Is that what you were trying to do?
But I wanted to find them in the McSwain line.
Oh,
so is what
you
because that was more of a
line.
Direct line. The McGowans was off on the over there. So I was just trying to kind of stick with these guys, and it was interesting. Finding him in the 1850 census, he and all his kids apparently were born in Georgia. I can't find them at all in the 1860, but in 1870, everybody's born in South Carolina. And then in 1880, North Carolina.
That's frustrating.
Yeah. Which one is it? Now, when you look at people's family trees, which I just like to pop in there and see what other people are doing, everybody's going with the North Carolina. And the first name of the mother is not what I matched, but in any case,
So trees are questionable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. There's 3 different things. I did find an obituary for him at the Wofford College Library, which I couldn't get into, but I went to newspapers.com. and found it there, so that was
once
good.
you found that you knew that there was something out there, you used other resources to be able to locate it. Okay.
Right.
Last resort would have been actually contacting.
Exactly. Right, and that was
library.
On my list of on my to-do list was contact Wofford College Library to see if I could, but they want $5. And I'm like, well, it's for free somewhere else. I'm going to try to find that. So his father is William, it's a reverend, I found out, Reverend William Adney McSwain, born in 1814, died 1866. His obit was also at the Wofford College, but also on newspapers.com.
Excellent.
And that one was kind of interesting. His, which I was hoping was going to show parents.
This is William, the father.
Right, Reverend William Adney McSwain. Just was the accolades of what an amazing reverend he was and all that. Nothing about his family. But there's a section in there I just kind of, it's not funny, but it is. So it just said what had happened to him. Let me find it here.
Oh, how he died?
Yeah, it said he suffered. Let's see, wait a minute. Our readers will remember that some weeks since, Mr. McSwain unfortunately had his leg broken by jumping from his buggy in apprehension of danger from an unruly horse. He suffered intensely with the broken limb, but his physicians think the broken bones would have healed had not a diarrhea fell upon him. This is just TMI.
Oh my.
Which, running into a typhoid dysentery with the inflammation attending the fracture, proved more than his system could bear, and which terminated fatally on Monday morning last about 1 o'clock.
You know, I really don't think that those details need to be made public.
Right? I'm sure if that was
Does
me,
the whole county,
I didn't want that out there.
Does the whole county need to know that? Poor man. I mean, that sounds horrible. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, breaking the leg back then anyway.
Yeah.
But then, that's terrible.
Terrible way to go. But apparently he was a very much loved reverend at the Methodist church there, and his body was buried with Masonic honors by the Palmetto Lodge.
I wonder if the church or the Methodist church, if the church is still there, and if the Methodist or organization has the historical documents on it.
Because the only other thing I could find for this guy, you know, it's all hearsay, is from the book, The History of Greenville County book, which does list that his father was Charles McSwain from North Carolina, and his father was David McSwain from North Carolina, and his father was David McSwain of North Carolina. The senior David McSwain is from the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. Now, this is just a little paragraph in that book, so it's a great clue. Right. Be interesting to find out if all that is true, if there's some document somewhere. And they do say North Carolina.
So the family maybe originated in North Carolina?
Could have originated in North Carolina.
And then moved south.
And moved to South Carolina, which is where he lived. But I don't know where the Georgia thing comes in. Unless the census taker, the family above is also from Georgia. If she just went right on down.
So but that's the only time that Georgia comes up in there.
Exactly.
Because they never lived in Georgia.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the wife is from, I can't remember if she's from North or South Carolina, one or the other. Nobody else I've seen
They never left the Carolinas.
Right.
Right.
From what I can tell.
Interesting. Well, there's some good clues there to start looking. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
does it list the counties or just in North Carolina?
Lawrence County. Lawrence County. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's in the Greenville area.
Okay.
And like her family, the whole family's still there.
Okay.
But it seems like no matter what branch I go on through her family, they're all there.
They've just always
there.
Isn't that amazing?
Forever.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun. I've not, my family, of course, leaves and goes somewhere else, and I can't follow them. But her family, just generation upon generation.
So probably 3 or 4 days just in the courthouse alone in that county would probably yield a good amount of genealogical information.
Could solve some of those problems.
Yeah.
I am going there this summer. I wonder if I could bust
and
out of where I'm
unfortunately,
going.
in North Carolina, they have nothing online.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Maybe.
It's Greenville, though. It's kind of far. But
well, I'm going to Greenville this summer.
Oh, you are?
So I think if I had some free time, I might just be like, oh, hey, peace out, everybody. I'm going to the courthouse.
Genealogist has to do what a genealogist has to do sometimes.
Right. That's right. So that's what I've been working on.
That's
and then,
interesting.
Of course,
There's a patriot in the family?
There's a patriot on the McGowan side.
Oh, so you want to get the patriot on the McSwain side?
I could do the McSwain.
Because there's a lot of loyalists in South Carolina, too. Just saying.
A lot of what?
Loyalists.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't.
But because they stayed there, they probably weren't. Because most of the loyalists ended up moving on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I have the loyalist in the. We'll check the book real quick and just to make sure he's not McSwain's not listed in it.
Oh, okay.
The list of loyalists. Yeah.
I guess you all will have to tune in and find out next time to see if he is a loyalist.
I'm really interested now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other side, on the McGowans, I know the gentleman who I don't have my notes with me, who was the Civil War soldier did apply for amnesty after the war.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
they have his application online and the
allegiance, the oath of allegiance
that he had to sign, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, they did have to do that. Now, did his obituary mention his father, the Reverend?
The Civil War guy? Because that's a McGowan. He's
McGowan. I got you.
That's
Okay.
McGowan, the Miss Swain.
I thought it was father and son obituaries. Okay, different lines. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
I might have to do the McGowans. But it looks like everybody's from Scotland. You know, everybody's
cool.
a mix something. I think you're all from there. Yeah.
Sounds like it, right. Which would make sense in the Carolinas because so many of them are. So.
For sure.
Nice.
For sure.
Good. Well, Ancestry has some cool stuff going on.
They do.
I like the new profile, the member profile.
Okay.
I did mine beta.
Yeah.
If everybody looked at our blog, it shows how switch over to the new profile.
Right.
I like it because it's visual and it's graphic, and I can see my percentages right there, and then you can see all the trees that I have. You know, it's just very visually pleasing, and I think it helps if you're going to somebody else's member profile. You can quickly see all the different trees that they have, you know, and kind of scroll through
Very
that.
helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
So I would encourage you all to play with that a little bit, and you can keep it as private as you want. So, you know, they're respecting that as well. You know, you may not want your DNA showing, you may not want all your trees showing. You know, you can definitely play with it.
Right, you can. But if your whole purpose is to connect with other people and try to make some connections and get some research done, open it up.
Exactly.
You know?
Right. I know. Yeah.
I don't think anything's private in this world anymore.
It's true. That's true. People, you can find out things.
Yeah.
But you know, I realize that some people, you know, you have a good idea. You always put that watermark on your photos because
I try to.
You know, you see people taking other people's photos and copying them without contacting them first.
Yes, and I think also when somebody puts a photo up, and I think it's great. I am so thankful for people. When I take one to save to my tree, I always write a little thank you, like thank you so much for sharing this photo. Appreciate it.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
But you also have to think about the provenance of it. You know, is that really those people? How do they know? Right? Yeah.
If it's not your photo, and
because you can't use this. I mean, you can use a citation. Well, I took this off of somebody else's tree, but that's it's not evidence.
Right.
So how did they get it? Where's it been? You know, those are the types of things you need to ask about the photos.
Right.
But, yeah. I found one the other day. Someone had copied or had uploaded an obituary for an individual who was connected to my family, but there's no citation. I have no idea what newspaper it came from. Was not able to find it on any of the online resources for newspapers. So hopefully they'll respond.
Did you contact the person?
Hopefully they'll respond to my where did you get this?
They're probably going, oh my gosh, I have no idea. I can't answer.
Maybe. Maybe.
I got nothing.
What else is going on?
Oh, so Ancestry is also
talking about messaging.
Message Center, and they're trying to make it more like, I don't want to say friendly, but like, you know, like you're just communicating, you're just talking, rather than the dear
more
kind
like
of thing.
Skyping.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So they've got a new message center, and it's if yours does not look different yet, it will by June. I know mine is still the old message center, but I've seen pictures of the new message center, which is really cool. And it will show you a whole bunch of different stuff. There's improved member search capabilities, which is great because sometimes you would just want to find the person who owns the tree, or the current message status, your online member status. There's a bunch of stuff, and and again, it's visually much better than what they have. But they did say in your message center, if you've used the folders option, which I know I didn't, I didn't even realize there was a folders option, which I think is kind of a cool option. You can So if you
organize your stuff.
Yes, you can organize your stuff. But if you have used it, you're going to be one of the last ones to get this new message thing up because they didn't have a fix for that, and they're working on that to make sure you don't lose your stuff.
Folders migrate over.
Yes, yes. So it's really nice. It'll show it'll be one big page. It'll show your profile and stuff, or it'll show your messages in the middle, all your messages on the one side. And yeah, it's nice. I'm looking forward to that popping up on my
The
screen
thing that
one day.
drives me crazy on the messages, and I know that there's nothing that Ancestry can do. And if somebody messages you through the DNA, I think it does link it to what family, I guess, that they're, I don't know. But when somebody messages me, I don't know, if I don't recognize the name of the ancestor, I have no idea which tree or what DNA they're referring to, because I have not only myself on my DNA profile, I have myself, I have, 2 of my children, I have somebody else who's not related to me, just on my DNA. So I've got 4 different profiles there, and then I have probably 20 different trees, because I have both my business trees, my professional trees, and then my personal trees.
Right.
Now, my professional trees can't be seen, but I don't know who this person is, and I don't know what tree to go to find out.
I know. I had that happen twice, actually. I got a contact, and because the people that I manage, they always show up as like their initials, like AB or whatever.
Right.
So they're like, "Hey, AB, I see we've matched up," and I might have a couple of ABs because that's just the way it is. It's like, well, I don't know which one this is, or if they don't even mention that, you're right. How do you figure out? I mean, I had to really scrounge through my trees to figure out who these people were talking about.
And that's not an ancestry problem, because it's the messaging. It's, I guess when I message, I need to put, I'm looking at your tree named such and such, and I see this person in there. So like referencing the tree, referencing the family line.
I have to say, and I will say this when I'm working with some of my teenagers too, when they, because teenagers are just very basic. Put in over information is better.
Right,
put in
that's
as
true.
much as you can. Even if you think it's too much, it might be the one extra little piece of information that will help somebody make that connection faster.
Right.
Yeah. Be explicit.
Right.
Yeah. And again, the tags. I love the tags.
You love the tags. You do love the tags.
I do. So I've got all my Connecticut ancestors tagged with Connecticut. So
is that in preparation for our research trip?
In preparation for our research trip.
Excellent.
Yes, which will be coming up in July.
We need to start preparing for that. Or I guess I need to start preparing for that, right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we've got time. We've got time. It's the end of July. We're heading for New Haven, Connecticut, and we're going to plant ourselves in the library.
I guess that's the plan.
For a week, I guess.
I'm looking for patriots, so making patriot connections. So, and we're going to do a day in New Jersey too, because I have a New Jersey patriot that I need to just get some documentation on.
So this is going to be a fun trip.
It will be. It will be really nice. Yeah.
And you will get to hear all about it. Well, you'll hear about our preparing for it, what we're going to do
in the next podcast.
And
oh my gosh, I have to prepare that.
Yes. Keeps us on track.
Absolutely, it does. All right, so until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for listening. Please email us with any questions or comments at genealogyhappyhour@gmail.com.
Visit our website, www.genealogyhappyhour.com, for additional resources, books, and wines. Don't forget to drink responsibly.
And never drink around genealogical documents.